Hello, welcome to Capital Sensei. Today we're diving deep into a book that's less about spreadsheets and stock tickers and more about the operating system that runs your entire financial life, your mind. We're doing a full review and summary of Millionaire Success Habits by Dean Graziosi. We'll break down his core ideas, from battling your villain within to discovering your true motivation with the 7 levels deep exercise. And then translate these psychological tools into the practical economic actions that actually build wealth. As always, my goal is to make these ideas accessible. So if you have questions while we go through this, drop them in the comments. Share your own stories about habits you're trying to build or break. This isn't just a channel. It's a community where we can all learn from each other's experiences. So, who is Dean Graziosi? And why should we listen to him? Many people know him from his real estate courses or his massive online events with Tony Robbins. But before all that, he was a kid from a blue-collar family, struggling with dyslexia and working in a collision repair shop. His story isn't one of inherited wealth or a fancy degree. It's a story of transformation, which is what makes his perspective on habits so compelling. He approaches success not as a destination for the gifted, but as a learnable skill available to anyone willing to do the work. The central premise of Millionaire Success Habits is simple but profound. Successful people are not successful by accident. Their wealth, their impact, their freedom, it's all a byproduct of their daily habits. Graziosi argues that we are all creatures of habit, but most of us are running on default programming. We're letting old, unhelpful habits dictate our lives. The book is essentially a manual for uninstalling the bad programming and consciously installing a new set of habits that are aligned with the life you actually want to live. Think of it like this. If your life was a car, your goals are the destination you plug into the GPS, but your habits are the engine. You can have the most beautiful destination in the world picked out, but if your engine is sputtering, leaking oil, and running on dirty fuel, you're never going to get there. Graziosi's work is all about taking you into the garage, popping the hood, and showing you how to rebuild that engine piece by piece so it can actually take you where you want to go. The book is structured into 2 main parts. First, there's the inner game, which is all about mindset. Then, there's the outer game, which covers the specific, actionable habits. Graziosi is adamant that you cannot succeed at the outer game without first mastering the inner game. You can have the best business plan in the world, but if your mind is full of doubt and fear, you'll never execute it. So let's start where he starts, inside your own head. One of the most powerful concepts in the entire book is the idea of the villain within. This isn't some cartoon character. It's that nagging, negative voice in your head. It's the voice that whispers, "You're not smart enough for that," or "Who are you to start a business?" or "You tried that once and failed, remember?" It's the voice of fear, of procrastination, of self-doubt. It's the internal saboteur whose only job is to keep you safe and small, right where you are. From an economic and behavioral psychology perspective, this villain is the manifestation of things like loss aversion, our tendency to fear a loss more than we desire an equivalent gain. That villain is the part of your brain screaming, "Don't risk the $100 you have, even for a chance to gain 200, because the pain of losing feels more intense." It's what keeps people in jobs they hate, because the perceived security of a steady, albeit miserable, paycheck feels safer than the uncertainty of pursuing something better. The villain gets its power from the stories you tell yourself. If you spent years telling yourself the story that "I'm just not a numbers person," your villain will use that story as ammunition every single time you try to look at your budget or research an investment. It will say, "See, this is too complicated for you. Just give up." Identifying this voice is the first critical step. You have to be able to hear it, recognize it for what it is, a protective but ultimately limiting mechanism. and separate it from your true self. The antidote to the villain within is what Graziosi calls the hero within. This is the other voice you have access to. It's the confident, capable, creative, and courageous part of you. It's the voice that remembers your past wins, that believes in your potential, and that focuses on possibilities instead of problems. The key takeaway is that you have a choice. You can't always stop the villain from talking, but you can choose which voice you listen to and which one you feed. Think of it like tuning a radio. The villain's frequency is full of static, negativity, and fear. The hero's frequency is clear, optimistic, and empowering. Most people just leave the radio on the default static station because it's familiar. The habit Graziosi wants you to build is to consciously reach out every single day, multiple times a day, and change the channel. You do this by celebrating small wins, practicing gratitude, and intentionally focusing on your strengths. Now, this all sounds great, but it can feel a bit abstract. How do you actually fuel that hero and give it a reason to fight? This brings us to what I believe is the most important and practical exercise in the entire book, the 7 levels deep. This exercise is designed to uncover your true core motivation, not the surface level stuff, but the deep emotional reason why you want what you want. Because without a powerful why, you'll give up the first time things get hard. Let's walk through an example. Let's say your goal is, I want to make an extra $2,000 a month. That's a decent goal, but it lacks emotional punch. So we apply the 7 levels deep exercise. I'll play the role of the questioner. Level 1. Why do you want to make an extra $2,000 a month? You might answer, so I can pay off my credit card debt. Okay, that's a good reason, but we need to go deeper. Level 2. Why do you want to pay off your credit card debt? Well, so I can stop feeling stressed every time the mail comes. I hate that feeling of being behind. Now we're getting somewhere. We're moving from a financial goal to an emotional one, the desire to eliminate stress. Level 3. Why do you want to stop feeling that stress? Because when I'm stressed about money, I'm not present with my kids. I'm irritable and distracted. I want to be a better parent. Wow. Okay, now the stakes are much higher. This isn't about interest rates anymore. It's about your relationship with your children. Level 4. Why do you want to be a better, more present parent? Because I want my kids to grow up feeling secure and loved. I want them to have happy childhood memories. Level 5. Why is it so important for them to have that security and those happy memories? Because I didn't have that. My parents were always fighting about money, and our home was always tense. I remember that feeling of anxiety, and I never ever want my kids to feel that way. Level 6. Why do you want to give them something different from what you had? Because I want to break the cycle. I want to prove to myself that I can create a different reality for my family, that I can be the one who changes our family's story when it comes to money and happiness. Level 7. Why is it important for you to be the one who proves that? Because if I can do that, it will mean I'm truly in control of my life. It will mean I'm not just a product of my past. It will mean I am truly free. Do you feel the difference? We went from make $2,000 a month to I want to feel truly free by breaking a generational cycle of anxiety and giving my children the secure, loving childhood I never had. Which one of those do you think is going to get you out of bed at 5 a.m. to work on your side hustle? Which one is going to keep you going when you face rejection and setbacks? That 7-level deep reason is your rocket fuel. From an economist's perspective, this is about understanding your true utility function. We often think people are motivated by money, but money is just a medium of exchange. What people are truly trying to maximize is their utility, their happiness, satisfaction, and well-being. The 7 levels deep exercise is a practical method for defining what actually brings you utility. Once you know that, you can align all your financial and economic decisions toward that ultimate end. Once you've uncovered this powerful why, Graziosi says you need to create a compelling future. This isn't just a vague dream. It's a crystal-clear, high-definition movie of the life you're working to create. What does it look like? What does it feel like? Smell like? Who is there with you? The more vivid and detailed you can make this vision, the more it will pull you forward. This isn't just feel-good fluff. This has a basis in neuroscience. Your brain can't always tell the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. By repeatedly immersing yourself in the vision of your compelling future, you are literally rewiring your brain to see opportunities and take actions that are aligned with that future. It acts as a filter for your decisions. When faced with a choice, you can ask, does this action move me closer to my compelling future or further away? So, you've worked on the inner game. You've identified your villain, empowered your hero, found your 7 levels deep why, and painted a picture of your compelling future. Now we shift to the outer game, the specific habits that turn that inner world into an outer reality. This is where the rubber meets the road. The first major outer game habit is what Graziosi calls finding your big domino. This idea is borrowed from the book The One Thing by Gary Keller, and it's incredibly powerful for cutting through the noise of modern life. The question is this: what is the one thing I can do, such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? Most of us have to-do lists that are a mile long. We feel busy all day, running from task to task, but at the end of the day, we don't feel like we've made any real progress on our major goals. That's because we're knocking over 100 tiny dominoes individually. The big domino habit is about finding the one crucial domino that, if you push it, will set off a chain reaction and knock over all the others for you. Let's use a practical example. Say you want to start a freelance writing business. Your to-do list might have things like design a logo, build a perfect website, order business cards, read 5 books on marketing, set up a social media profile on every platform. You could spend months being busy with these things. But what's the big domino? The one thing that actually moves the needle is getting a paying client. So your big domino for the day might be send personalized pitches to 10 potential clients. If you get a client, you suddenly have the money and the motivation to get the logo and website done. The one action made everything else easier. From an economic standpoint, this is about a ruthless application of the Pareto principle, or the 80-20 rule. The idea that roughly 80% of your results will come from 20% of your efforts. The big domino is that critical 20%. The habit is to, at the start of every day or every week, stop and ask yourself, what is my big domino right now? And then protect your time and energy to make sure that one thing gets done no matter what. The next critical habit is what Graziosi calls mastering your story. We touched on this with the villain within, but this takes it a step further. It's about consciously choosing the narratives you attach to the events in your life. Graziosi says that it's not the events themselves that shape us, but the meaning we give to them. For example, imagine 2 people get laid off from their jobs. Person A tells themselves the story: this is a disaster, I'm a failure, the economy is terrible, and I'll never find another job as good as that one. This is proof that I'm unlucky. This story leads to feelings of helplessness and despair, and their actions, or lack thereof, will reflect that. They'll probably be slow to update their resume and hesitant to network. Person B, facing the exact same event, tells themselves a different story. This is a wake-up call. That job was okay, but I wasn't truly passionate about it. This is the universe pushing me to finally pursue the career I've always dreamed of. This is an opportunity, not a tragedy. This story leads to feelings of empowerment and excitement. Their actions will be completely different. They'll be energized to learn new skills, network aggressively, and explore new possibilities. Same event, different story, radically different outcome. The habit here is to become a story detective in your own life. When you face a setback, you need to pause and ask, what is the story I'm telling myself about this? Is it a story that disempowers you? Or is it a story that empowers you? You have the power to rewrite the script. This is a fundamental principle of cognitive behavioral therapy, and it's also a cornerstone of building economic resilience. People who can reframe challenges as opportunities are the ones who bounce back faster and stronger from economic shocks. This leads directly into the next habit, which is about productivity and managing your energy. Graziosi doesn't just talk about time management, he talks about results management. It's not about how many hours you work, it's about the results you produce in those hours. This ties back to the big domino. You want to pour your best energy into your most important tasks. One practical tip he gives is to schedule your priorities, not just your appointments. Most people's calendars are filled with meetings and obligations to other people. A millionaire success habit is to block out time for your big domino tasks first. You schedule 2 hours of deep work on my business plan, or 1 hour of researching investment properties, just like you would a dentist's appointment. You make a non-negotiable appointment with your own success. Another key part of this is understanding your own energy cycles. Are you a morning person or a night owl? Schedule your most mentally demanding work, your big domino tasks, for your peak energy hours. Schedule the low-value administrative stuff, like checking emails or running errands, for your low-energy periods. This sounds simple, but it's a game changer. It's like trying to make a star athlete play the championship game when they're exhausted, versus when they're rested and at their peak. You'll get vastly different results. This is simply the efficient allocation of your most valuable personal resource, your focused attention. The final major habit Graziosi discusses is one that I, as an economist and investor, believe is one of the most underrated drivers of financial success: the people habit. He says, "Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future." He emphasizes the incredible power of your peer group. The people you spend the most time with will influence your conversations, your ambitions, your standards, and ultimately, your net worth. If you hang around 5 people who are constantly complaining about the economy, who believe rich people are evil, and who spend all their money on fleeting pleasures, it's going to be incredibly difficult for you to maintain a mindset of opportunity, abundance, and long-term investment. Their beliefs and habits will seep into your own thinking through osmosis. Their gravitational pull will hold you back. Conversely, if you surround yourself with 5 people who are actively working on their businesses, who talk about investments and new ideas, who hold themselves to high standards, you will be pulled up by them. Their ambition becomes your new normal. Their knowledge becomes your knowledge. This isn't about ditching your old friends. It's about proactively and intentionally seeking out new connections with people who are playing the game at a level you want to reach. From an economic perspective, this is all about building social capital. A strong network provides you with information, opportunities, and resources that you could never access on your own. That conversation you have with a mentor over coffee could give you an insight that saves you $10,000 on a business mistake. That friend in your mastermind group might connect you with an investor who funds your entire project. These are not small things. They are massive accelerators of success. So the habit is to be an architect of your social circle. This means joining industry groups, going to seminars, joining online communities like the one we're building here, and seeking out mentors. It also means offering value to that network. Don't just be a taker, be a giver. Share your knowledge, make introductions, and help others. That's how you build a powerful and supportive peer group that will lift you higher. So, let's bring all of this together. Dean Graziosi's Millionaire Success Habits is a powerful framework for personal transformation. It argues that building wealth isn't about some secret formula or being lucky. It's about a systematic process of rewiring your mind and your daily actions. It starts with the inner game, winning the war against your inner villain by connecting with your heroic self. You fuel that hero with the intense, emotional power of your why, which you discover through the 7 levels deep exercise. With that fuel, you create a compelling vision of the future that pulls you forward through any obstacle. Then, you execute with the outer game. You focus your energy on the big domino, the one task that creates the most leverage. You consciously choose empowering stories to frame the events of your life. You manage your results, not just your time, by pouring your peak energy into your highest priorities. And finally, you accelerate all of this by architecting a peer group that inspires and challenges you to become the best version of yourself. None of this is a quick fix. It's a lifelong practice. It's about making a 1-degree shift in your trajectory today, and then another one tomorrow. Over time, those tiny shifts compound into a completely different destination. The book is a challenge. It asks you to take 100% responsibility for your life. It removes the excuses. It says that your past does not have to equal your future, but only if you are willing to do the deep, often uncomfortable work of changing your habits. The core message is one of empowerment. You are the author of your life story, the architect of your future. The habits you choose to practice today are the building blocks you are using to construct it. The question the book leaves us with is a simple one. Are you building the life you truly want? One habit at a time.